Imagine trying to run Windows 95 on a smart fridge. That's you. That's us. That is ADHD trying to survive in a world built for color-coded Google calendars and those morning people who wake up at 5 a.m. completely refreshed. Ew. Now, before we get into the good stuff, I do want to warn you that this is not going to be one of those videos that tells you to go drink your water, go outside and touch grass, and go for a walk, because those are the things that are going to fix your executive dysfunction. You already know you should drink water. You should be touching grass, and if your body is able to, you should be moving it on occasion. But you also know that sometimes your brain forgets how cups work. This video is not about fixing your ADHD. It is about feeding it. It is about nurturing it. It's about caring for it like the annoying and adorable little cryptid that it is. Because ADHD is not just a checklist of symptoms. It is its own ecosystem. And you, my friend, are the anxious little squirrel trying to keep it all together with half a nut and a torn Post-it note. So instead, let's talk about how to make it just a little bit easier. And heads up, we are going to talk about actual food stuff when we talk about feeding our ADHD gremlins. So if that's triggering for you, please hit the like button on your way out. I totally understand. You would never forget to feed your dog, but somehow it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You've exclusively consumed 3 cups of coffee and half of a protein bar, and you're wondering why you're dizzy. That's not leaning into your vibrations, honey. That's low blood sugar and chaos. Your ADHD brain needs fuel. Not just calories, but the kind of fuel that helps to stabilize your energy, instead of just the kind that sends you into orbit. I'm talking protein-heavy breakfasts. Snacks that don't necessarily come in small, crinkly, adorable packages. And actual meals that consist of more than the color beige on your plate. No hate to potatoes, by the way, because they are my favorite food. But these are the things that help to keep your brain online. And I'm not here to tell you to become a meal prep girly tomorrow. But you do need an emergency snack stash that isn't just 8-year-old Halloween candy and Lucky Charms eaten straight out of the box. Though admittedly, that is one of my favorites. Also, while we're talking about swallowing stuff, that didn't come out right. Okay, the meds, they don't work as well on an empty stomach. And that's not judgment here, that's just biochemistry. And look, feeding your ADHD also includes feeding your dopamine gremlin. And unfortunately, broccoli is not as exciting as TikTok. So yeah, sometimes that's going to mean making a game out of brushing your teeth. It's going to mean pretending you're being filmed by a documentary crew while you're emptying the dishwasher. Stop fighting the cringe. Ride it. Lean into it. Cringe is fuel. Cringe is magic. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to tell you to go for a walk, but I mean, come on. Sometimes the advice is advice because it's good advice. And you don't necessarily have to go for a walk, but your ADHD absolutely requires kinetic movement. It needs you to move so that it can focus. You know how like when you're on a phone call and you start pacing and you realize that you are more coherent than you've been in the last 2 weeks? That shit's not random. Okay, it's science. It's happening because you are moving your body. So move your body. Rock in your chair. Stand up and stretch your arms like a wacky inflatable arm waving guy. Dance like no one is watching. Because most likely, nobody is. Try to find a way to build movement into your routines. Wiggle while you fold the laundry. Walk in circles while you're just thinking and brainstorming. Get a mini trampoline if that's something that your body can handle. I don't know if you remember the 80s, but they used to be all the rage when like Jane Fonda was the workout queen. A mini trampoline cannot be overstated as to how fun it is. Next best thing would be bouncing on a yoga ball, I guess. My point is that movement is a reset button, and you need to press it kind of often. Almost in that same vein, now we're going to talk about sensory input. Because ADHD doesn't just come with, like attention issues. It comes with an entire buffet of sensory weirdness. You could be touch sensitive or noise sensitive. You could be emotionally attached to a hoodie that has been through the wash so many times you can't even remember what university that you totally didn't even go to used to be printed on the front. This is where the feeding part of feeding your ADHD really matters, because sensory satisfaction can absolutely be a need, not just a bonus. Maybe you legitimately need background noise or white noise or brown noise or some kind of noise in the background while you work. Maybe you need total silence or you cannot get your task completed. Know thyself and then set up your environment to match. Try a fidget toy. Even if you have said out loud how lame you think they are, give it a try because you might be surprised at how much they help with focus and stimulation. Try switching from harsh overhead light to soft lamps instead. Try a weighted blanket. Try a vibrating cushion. Try a heating pad or a cooling pad. Light a specific candle scent that is different for each long-term task that you're working on. And that scent will trigger to your brain, oh, it's time to work on this thing. There is no moral victory for suffering in an environment that makes your brain want to riot. Feed your senses the way your brain craves. ADHD thrives when it feels safe. And sensory comfort is a fast track to safety. Do you know what ruins absolutely everything? Being tired. Do you know what ADHD hates more than blank planner pages? Sleep schedules. They are the epitome of, well, now I'm not going to do it the minute you decide it's bedtime. But here's the thing. You know you need sleep, and you need sleep the way a phone needs to be plugged in to recharge. And if you keep forcing yourself to run at 2%, eventually your brain is going to start closing apps mid-use, and you'll be sitting on the floor in the cereal aisle crying with no idea what just happened. And obviously, I'm not saying that you need a Pinterest board-worthy wind-down routine, but you probably do need a routine that doesn't involve scrolling TikTok until 2 o'clock in the morning. Dim the lights, put your phone on the other side of the room. Use a sleep mask or lavender or white noise if that's something that you need. The point is to do whatever works. And if you try all of these things and none of them work and your brain just continues to run like a racehorse in the middle of the night, try keeping a memo recorder or a pen and paper next to your bed. Brain dump every chaotic thought that is keeping you awake and get it out of there. Once you've acknowledged and paid attention to what your ADHD is trying to tell you, it will wind down. And if all of that fails, one of the things that I shared in my book, Life on Hard Mode, is a bedtime game, not that kind of game. This isn't that kind of channel. It is an alphabet game where you pick a subject like animals or vegetables or team names or whatever, and then you name something in that subject that starts with each letter of the alphabet. So like A for apple, B for blueberry, C for clementine. This gives your brain just enough stimulation that it's distracted from the existentialism that's keeping you awake, but it's not so difficult that it becomes stimulating and wakes you up more. And, check out the book if you want to. My point is that sleep is the ultimate self-care. Sleep is a gift. And trust me when I tell you that your ADHD is going to throw a lot fewer fits if it is not constantly running on fumes. Look, ADHD can be isolating as hell. We flake on plans, we forget to text people back, we get absolutely overwhelmed by the idea of phone calls. And then we have the nerve to sit and wonder why we feel so disconnected from everyone in our lives. But connection is like vitamin D. You need it or you're going to start to wilt. Find your people. Find them here in this community or find them out in the real world. Text a friend just to say hi. Set up a regular FaceTime call with someone who gets it. Join a community. Make it easy, make it casual, but make it real. And also, be that connection for someone else. Your chaos is comfort to other people, or so I'm told. Seriously though, your honesty is a gift. You do not have to have your entire life together to be someone else's lighthouse. Just keep the light on. All right, this one's a weird one, but stick with me. ADHD brains very often struggle with delayed gratification, which makes things like goal setting and long-term rewards kind of useless because we need that gold star right now. So give it to yourself. Buy the stickers before you even finish the project. Get the cupcakes before you write the difficult email. Tell yourself you did great before you've even opened your to-do list. Because the trick is training your brain to associate effort with reward, not just outcome. Because when your brain finally believes that even trying earns a reward, it becomes way less scared of failing. It becomes less paralyzed by the pressure to do things perfectly. Feed your motivation with kindness. Bribe your inner gremlin with glitter pens and cookies. It's not manipulation. It's neurodivergent efficiency. Look, ADHD is not something you conquer. It is something you care for. Some days it behaves, and some days it chews the furniture and pees on the rug. But every day it needs maintenance. Not shame, not punishment, not an impossible quest for control. Build systems for yourself that forgive forgetfulness. Set reminders for your reminders. Write checklists that include things you've already done so you can cross them off and get that sense of accomplishment. Stop aiming for mastery. Aim for maintenance. A little water, a little light, a little wiggle room. That is how you keep this thing alive. You have been living in a world that treats ADHD like some kind of moral failing instead of treating it as it is, which is just different wiring from what people are used to. That is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to care for your brain now that you know better. Feeding your ADHD is not weakness. It's strategy. It's self-respect. And it's super fun. Don't forget to smash all of those YouTube buttons for me and leave me a comment below and let me know if your ADHD was a pet, what would it be? Personally, mine is a goblin with a caffeine addiction and a stationary problem. But you probably already knew that. I love you so much and I will see you next time. Bye.